Hi, I'm Miss P. I'm here today to review the McCall's pattern 8385. This is a pattern for a shirt dress that has a collar. It has pleating around the neckline in the back, and it has these panels. I did view C, which doesn't have the panels. It's kind of like princess seams. And yeah, so that's the dress that I did. The fabrics that are suggested are a cotton sateen, gingham, lightweight, seersucker, and it requires a little bit of lining. I used approximately, I think it was probably like 6 yards for the UC, maybe a little less. I think that's if you're using like a 45-inch, it's like six. I used probably, yeah, like six yards, because for 62 inches, which my fabric was, requires 5 3/8. So yeah, so the fabric I used for the first item that I did that I'm going to inset was a cotton, like a waxed cotton, kind of a sateen kind of finish, but it looks like the African prints where it's kind of very shiny, but it's a cotton. The second one that I did was this one that I'm wearing now that you'll also see, which was in a cotton lace. It's the lining for the sleeves was polyester lining of some sort. I don't even really know. It's just something I had in my closet, as was the sateen wax finish cotton. And the last one I did was a cotton canvas fabric. Now that cotton canvas fabric was that I got from, I believe, Fabric Mart. I'm not sure. Okay, so now the alterations that I needed to make on this item for all three views, I chose not to put the collar on. I don't like collars. I think collars just kind of don't sit right on me. Also, they just seem like useless flaps. So not the kind I like anyway. So yeah, I didn't use the collars. I wanted pockets on it, and this pattern doesn't come with pockets, so I did some on top pockets, the ones that sit on top, on two of the views. And lastly, the waist is very low, and I watched another YouTuber, and I can't remember her name right now, but I watched another YouTuber, and the waist sits very low. So what that means is that where your hips come, the pattern doesn't expand where it should. So like this is the kind of pattern that looks like it should have plenty of room for your hips, but because of the way the waist was so low, you were still doing the waist instead of hips. So I pulled it up 2 inches, and I just did a seam around the center because I had already made it and I wasn't gonna undo it and unpick it, and I would have had to cut it. And that really kind of solved the problem. In fact, the last item that I did ended up being too big after I made that adjustment. The other thing that I did was, initially I cut it to the size on the pattern that it said I should wear, which at the time was a 34. For the bust would be 56, and the hips would be 58, was actually too big for me. But I cut it to that anyway, and then I increased it. And then once I made the adjustment, it was all too big. So this cotton lace one has stretch to it. It kind of has kind of a lot of stretch to it. Very forgiving. So with the cotton lace, I didn't have to make that same adjustment. Yeah, I didn't have to make the same adjustment because it was going to stretch anyway, and I wasn't using it to close up. There was no need for it to have like the same structure because it was just an overlay for the very quick dress that I made to go with it, that you'll also see. Yeah, so those were the items that I made. Also, let's see. So those are the alterations I made. I think on difficulty level, because of the gathering, I'd give this probably, I'd rate it like a 6. It wasn't really super hard. the hardest part was probably the buttons and the gathering, making sure the gathering is even. The pros of it was I just love the design. I think the sleeves are super cute. On the last one that I did not do the same kinds of sleeves. I just did elastic in the sleeves instead of the puff sleeves. I wouldn't say I regret it, but simultaneously it's definitely given something different with the puffs. So those are the pros, and the cons are basically the way the waistline is cut and the fact that it doesn't have pockets. The accuracy of sizing, I think the accuracy is very correct if you take into account the measurements for the waist. I think the fit is wonderful after the fact, after you make that adjustment. If you're very long in the torso, this is probably going to be perfect for you, or if you're super tall. Also, I think that the pattern's a little too long, so I didn't make it as long, the full length, because it would have been dragging the floor. And the directions seemed pretty easy to follow, and they seem very simple, so I would give the instructions probably a 5 or a 6. No, I'll give them a 7. It was good. They were good instructions. So yeah, overall, I would recommend this pattern. I think that if you're doing Rochelle's handmade designs, if you're entering the contest she is, which is Battle of the Shirt Dresses. I don't know if that's over yet, but if you're gonna join that, this would be a wonderful entry. In fact, if it's still going on, this is what I'm going to enter, because I've finished the dress within that time frame. Yeah, so I hope you liked this review. I hope it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please drop them down below. Hope that you'll like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, like I said, let me know. And if I missed anything, let me know. If you've made this pattern, I'd love to hear about your experience, because that really helps me along my journey to know how other people are doing with certain patterns and if there's certain issues that they've had. Sorry about that scream. I'm outside. I'm just enjoying this beautiful weather. So if you heard the scream, that's part of living in a neighborhood with kids. All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for joining me. Happy sewing.